Now,
Okay.
Bill Cosby. He was recently let out of prison um, after being convicted of sexual assault, drugging and sexually assaulting uh, Andrea Constand. Do you guys have any thoughts about Bill Cosby being released?
I feel
I
bad.
I do, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Now, I mean, two things could be true. Like, I feel bad for the Andrea Constant person, but at the end of the day, like, the prosecutors was too big for their britches. They should have knew about that deal that he already made. So I feel like at the
They
end
did.
of the day,
They knew about it.
Cosby's a victim too because he spent 2 years and 9 months in somewhere he shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yes.
like,
Again,
two things
do
could
what's fair. Do what's
be
fair. Do your job. An overzealous prosecutor. An overzealous prosecutor.
yes.
And
Mhm.
he violated that man's civil rights. He violated his rights. Everybody has that rights, due process.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if they were so adamant and so sure that they can convict this man on the things that he allegedly did to these women, they should have been able to do it without doing something where it violated him in the process.
Yes, Ash. I heard about what Judge Joe Brown said. We're gonna get to that. I hope they watched the video because I sent them the video as well.
ah.
You guys have any other thoughts?
I don't really have any thoughts except that there's two victims here. The real victims, the ones that's really telling the truth. And then Bill Cosby's also a victim. I feel like the
And from the very beginning, it was just like it was that shit never just set well. It didn't happen right. Like you know what I'm saying. And now that we found out, it didn't happen right. So
whoever that prosecutor was too desperate.
Mhm.
Like somebody was
Well,
telling him, like, you better make
from what
sure.
I from what I hear, from what I heard, he allegedly ran on the fact that he would get a Bill Cosby conviction when he
So
ran
that makes
for
sense.
the office of prosecutor. That's what he ran on. So as a prosecutor, especially if you have any sort of experience, I feel like he knew that this would be the outcome.
Yeah.
But
mhm.
in manipulation of the public, you can say that you did deliver on what you. Do y'all
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
he
you
did
came up there,
deliver.
you came, you did all you could to prosecute Cosby and to get that conviction. You got the conviction knowing that it would be overturned because you underhandedly violated the prior prosecutor's agreement. So you knew it would eventually be overturned, but you can't say that you did not deliver on your promise. That's my thoughts. Because if you guys remember, Cosby, he actually had what was it, a hung jury because they came to Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
tried him, and when they couldn't get a conviction in Pittsburgh, they moved it out near Philly and did it again.
They did it again fast too.
And I feel like even with the first time, like it was some bullshit because I don't even think that Bill had representation there. It was like on some underlying shit. Even then, I don't even know why he even agreed to have that conversation with that first prosecutor.
Well,
Now,
I I I understand it only because I think with the when it came to the, are you talking about initially like in 2005?
Yes.
I understand it only because maybe they did not have enough to bring criminal charges against him, but Andrea Constant filed the civil suit against him, right? And at that time, he ended up giving her close to $3.5 million. She got in 2006. But within that civil suit, there was an agreement made that gave him immunity going forward. So
yeah.
I understand. I kind of like understand how everything happened, um, with the guarantee that you would not be able to be criminally charged in the future. So I understand that, but and that's the thing. Like at the time when he got convicted in 2018, I didn't because you basically did like a somewhat of a double jeopardy type of thing on him. Where this conviction is solely based on the experience with Andrea Constant. It has nothing to do with the other victims. So in 2006, you settled the case with her. She got her $3.5 million, what have you. So that should have been done. The reason why you're bringing Andrea Constant back up is because her case specifically was the only one that was still in the statute of limitations. So you're trying to get this conviction because you know there's a public outcry for the hanging of Bill Cosby. Your action, this is if you run on, I'm going to get Bill Cosby convicted, you're gonna try to get him by any means necessary. Right. So, yes. With that being, I know there's a lot of people who are upset in regards to the victims, but I think people need to get out of their feelings and understand that this was never ever about the victims. It was never about them. They don't care about the victims.
But they still don't want to see their accuser back on the streets, though. Or they don't. They're accused back on the street.
They don't. But, and this is where we get into somewhat, because I don't know if you guys watched Judge Joe Brown's interview with Mark Lamont Hill or not.
Definitely did.
But
I did not.
People might be a little upset, but I kind of agree with Judge Joe Brown in a sense that you have to be your own biggest advocate, right? So,
wait, what did he say? What did Joe Brown say?
Judge Joe Brown was basically saying that when it comes to the law, like we're not here to like protect people for being stupid. Like it just don't work that way. Which I wouldn't have said it that way because I understand like the shame and fear and whatever else that could come from coming forward. But if there is a statute of limitations on the crime that has been committed against you, it is your duty to be your own biggest advocate. Like if somebody has victimized you in any way, I would hope that people can push through the guilt and the shame of all of that in order to come forward. Because
what was we saying when we was first talking about it? We had that conversation. Like I feel like if you like you have to let somebody know. Like you can't wait 25 years to say something happened. Like you know what I mean? Like that, it just don't make no sense. We had this conversation.
That better be the only thing you agree with, Judge Jim.
Well, that's why I didn't click on it.
He called them groupies. Judge Joe Brown did call them groupies, Sash. And to be honest with you, I don't disagree. I believe some of them were.
So
but I guess that's beside the point. I mean, were some of them groupies? Yeah, probably. But that doesn't mean that they still couldn't have been victimized also. I mean.
Because that's like what we was talking about with that show. What is that called? The morning show?
Yeah.
Almost kind of like that. You know what I mean? Where girls wanted to probably be around Cosby because of who he was. And when they got around him, like Judge Brown said, he wasn't the only one giving people quaaludes, but that don't make it right either. So.
Right.
You know what, that doesn't make it right. And also I think this is something that I brought up a long time ago and that I've heard people saying today, like how many of us would be found guilty of things that we did years or decades ago based on the rule. The rules have changed, the norms have changed, things have changed since then. So are you prosecuting me from something I did 20 years ago based on the norms and the things that we consider today? Because at that time it was a different time.
Right.
I mean,
and isn't that what the I can't remember her name. The lady from the Fresh Prince was saying, like everybody knew that that Bill was doing that to women
Janet, whatever.
People did know.
Yeah.
But and I think that the thing that annoys me about it is because you would hear different celebrities saying, because initially this thing picked up steam after Hannibal Buress had a stand-up comedy set about it. Before that, nobody was really talking about it, but you did hear people saying, well, it was like an open secret that Bill Cosby was doing this to women, and nobody like said anything. Like, so
Like Harvey Weinstein.
Exactly. Jeffrey Epstein, all the little shit that they do that they know is wrong, and don't nobody say nothing.
Bill Clinton.
R. Kelly. Do
R. Kelly.
y'all know we have talked about
R. Kelly.
We knew about R. Kelly specifically since Aaliyah. He probably was doing stuff before that, but nobody called for his arrest until this whole Lifetime documentary came out, and like we were all aware. To be honest, we were.
Yes.
So I mean,
This nigga
how much do
gotta,
we really care about the victims?
He got acquitted.
Who?
R. Kelly?
And then made a song with Jay-Z.
He did. Not guilty. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Like,
that's when the Me Too movement
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Me Too movement caused a public outcry. It was like the prosecution moved because of the conviction in the court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But even
Yes.
I'm telling you, man, all of this got to do as far as from the bullying shit. When after people started saying it's not right, that even the beating your kids stuff. Once they start letting people beat their kids, like as people start getting the opening eyes as far as abuse go, and then the same thing that happened as far as it's just a trickle down effect. Like
Who said that you can't beat your kid?
CYS.
CYS don't run shit in this motherfucker. Tell you that right now.
There's a way.
Never did.
That you look that now you don't raise your kids how they used to raise them back in the 60s and 70s. Like, ain't nobody getting.
I mean, I'm not abusing my kids, but my kids have gotten whoopings. They'll get their ass whooped.
I mean, you might discipline them, but you ain't abusing them.
Right.
So.
But I ain't saying that there's not kids that weren't abused. I'm not saying that. But nobody's never going to ever be able to tell me that I can't do something that I birthed. Never.
You missing the point. What I'm saying is in society, it's not acceptable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
The same thing with bullying. We all went to school was either the bully or got bullied. So, like, it was normal for us. They took that shit out of school super fast. Like, the way society's working, it's like,
the bullying is still around. It's worse now.
10 years ago, you might, if people bring up what you was doing 10 years ago, you might be considered a savage.
Yeah. But there is one other thing that I do want to mention regarding the Cosby thing. Another thing that got on my nerves about people once he was released from prison recently is people were talking about how he had been released on a technicality. It was not a technicality. He should have never went to prison based on the prior agreement with the previous prosecutor.
He probably
That's not a technicality.
That's a lawsuit. Like he spent two.
And he's suing them.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, I know people are outraged because of, as many people have been victimized by this man, but you have to get out of your feelings and understand that it was never about the victims. It was never about the victims.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop trying to cancel people.
Prosecutors based on the public outcry and the conviction in the court of public opinion first.
Because they try to cancel Felicia Rashad.
They did.
Yes. They
did.
Like she can't have her opinion.
Right. It's crazy.
But I mean, I love me some Felicia Rashad. And
too.
That's still America's mom. So I don't know. But then Howard University, made her apologize. They put out a statement saying that they weren't aligned with what she said, and
That's okay. That's okay. She kept her job.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's okay. Like she just definitely her opinions is her opinions. But for her to even have to say that is whack. Like people shouldn't have been trying to call for her job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As long as she ain't the one drugging them and doing crazy stuff, let the lady keep her job in peace.
But do you think that Howard University was very careful with how they handled her? They did. I feel like they knew that if they fired her, their heads would be on a stake. Like Felicia Rashad is beloved in the Black community.
Well, somebody
I think they did just enough to say, hey, we're not aligned with her. She had to issue an apology, but they weren't willing to go as far as to fire her.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. But yeah, do you guys have any more thoughts on the Bill Cosby?
Not at all. I don't. I just
no.
I'm glad to see he's out of jail, but I do feel bad for the victims living through this.
I do too, but I just feel like if people again do what they're supposed to do, follow the rules and the laws and the policies that's put in place to protect people or whatever, then we wouldn't even be here.
Mm-hmm. And I think let this be a cautionary tale to anybody who has ever been victimized in any way. You have to be your own biggest advocate.
You have to be your own. Yes.
Do not wait till, because with this whole thing, it was all based on that one case that was within the statute of limitation, which was Andrea Constand.
And you would think that being that that Me Too movement was so big, I hope that they was, saying things like that, like so they could pass it on for people not to wait 25 years to speak up about something that happened to them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, anything you do, you should always be your own biggest advocate, your own biggest cheerleader, anything. So I just hope that people, take this as a cautionary tale of how important it is to come forward sooner than later.
See, to me, when you're dealing with Hollywood, you're dealing with a slippery slope, especially back in the 70s, 80s, when all they did was party. You know what I mean? Party, party, party. And everybody wants to sleep with the person who's higher up to try to get. So, you know what I mean?
In a better position.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So if you want to say that, you can't have it both ways. Do you want to sit on this information and further your career, or do you want to bring justice to the person who victimized you?
Well,
what's more important to you?
When do I start feeling like a victim? Then that's the key part. Do I feel like a victim right away, or do I feel
if you are a victim, you start feeling like a victim immediately. Like there's no when do I start feeling like a victim?
According to Andrea Constand, she felt like a victim immediately.
Situation back in my head.
Well, for this specific Andrea Constand, she felt like a victim immediately. So.
Oh well.
I thought we was talking about the other girls though.
Oh, the other girls? I don't know.
From back in the day.
Yeah. I don't know.
See, the Andrea Constantine, whoever her name is, the thing that messed up about her is she went after the money first, and they gave Bill Cosby that deal to have him say some shit so he could get immunity.
And to be honest with you, I think she probably would have wanted criminal charges, but I don't think that they had enough on him to criminally charge him. So then she filed the civil suit and she got her money.
And it's sad because it's sad that like you said, it happened this late in his life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even just seeing the older man go to jail like that ain't touching on nobody and doing nothing weird. It was hard to see him have to do those 2 years when you knew that other people was out that should have been in jail. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Yes.
he's out of jail. I feel like a man like that doesn't need to die inside of jail.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens because I think he's going to sue them.
He is. He's already started a lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think rightfully so, because his rights were violated.
That's 2+
Yes.
years in jail.
Yeah. And I feel like he's gonna get his money.
I was about to say that. Hey, I swear I was about to say that. Do you think he's going to get his $3 million back?
Yep.
Period.
That's why I can't understand why you would do something tricky when it comes to the law. Because if that shit don't work, everything's fucked up. They were saying that Maxine Waters shit might come back to haunt with the Derek Chauvin case.
I don't think so. I
can't even remember what she said.
What did you say, Tavi? I didn't hear you.
What Maxine Waters said about the Derek Chauvin case.
What did she say?
Yeah, that's what the one dude, I forget what his name was. He was on Joe Rogan, but I feel like this is comparing apples to oranges. I do not agree with that at all.
Yeah, because the one thing is that he actually signed something for Bill Cosby to get the immunity.
And if that was the case, then the judge in the Chauvin case, he had multiple opportunities to have that jury sequestered, and he chose not to do so.
True.
No.
I said that's what it should have been from the rip. From the rip.
Definitely.
No.
So,
I think the guy who was on Joe Rogan, I forgot his name, but he was grasping for straws there. Because he made false equivalency between the two cases. That's my opinion.
well, alrighty then.
What else we got? We done with Cosby? Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. I really like how D.L. Hughley was able to remove his feelings about the situation because, he got long-standing beef with Bill Cosby, but he definitely addressed the situation with a level head and was talking about the same things that we were talking about today, about how they wronged him. So shout out to D.L. Hughley for real.
All right, okay.
A lot of people are like living in their feelings about this situation, but to look at it in a different way, I think it's better for you to remove your feelings and just try to look at
Yeah, because those are the very things that people are fighting for. They violated his rights. That's what the fight is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To have equal rights, so that's all.
Yeah, and I think there was another person that I was listening to, and I can't remember their name right off the top of my head. But they were like, "Well, what if it was your brother, your sister, your father, mother, whoever, who they got a deal to where they would serve maybe 5 years, and then the 5 years is almost up, and they decide to flip the script and say, well, the crime that you committed, it was so heinous. 5 years is really not enough. You're gonna have to just stay in and do the full 10." You feel like that's wrong, right?
Wait, say that again, what you just said.
If you had like a relative and basically they changed the rules of the game in the middle of the game.
Right? Who did?
That happens a lot.
This is hypothetically.
Oh, okay.
They changed, because that's essentially what they did to Cosby. He thought he had immunity based on the agreement that he previously had. They changed the rules of the game in the middle of the game and convicted him based on something that they promised that they would not bring charges on prior. So if it was one of your loved ones, you would feel like that was unfair. So I know that there's a big public outcry, but at the same time, either you want to play by the rules, or how should I put this? we always want the legal system to be fair to us, right? But then we
Yes.
can't pick and choose just because there was, and I know there was a countless amount of women who came forward and said that he did something to them. But at the same time, the legal system was not fair to him.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want? Do you want the conviction based on this public outcry?
Feelings. Feelings. You want the conviction based on feelings or fairness? Or what's right?
Look at it like a football game. Like if the Steelers get caught for holding, it's a bad call. But if like the Ravens get caught for holding, they was holding all fucking game. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So if this is about favor, yeah, right on. But if this is my favor, they cheating.
Yeah. Good analogy. Yes, exactly.
So it's messed up that we gotta play like sides on things because our emotions get involved, but that's how it is. It is what
feelings.
It is. Feelings always involved.
Yeah. I don't know. It's never a good idea to live in your feelings, guys.
Nah, especially if you hold a position where you can, especially if you are in a position where it involves somebody else's livelihood. Your feelings shouldn't be your feelings should not be involved.
Right.
And you got denied probation, everything. Like as far as the get out during COVID.
It's easier to say, I guess it's easy for people to say your feelings shouldn't be involved, but that's how it should be.
That man could have died though in jail. Like 2 years is a long time.
To be honest, that's what I thought was going to happen. To be honest, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
And guess what? If he'd have died in jail, nobody would have never brought up that he had immunity.
Nope.
It was just
but you know what though? There at the time that he was on trial in 2018, nobody brought it up. It just so happened I knew about it because I read an article about it, and I was like, "What? Like, that's crazy." But there wasn't nobody talking about that.
Swipe it under the rug.
So, I don't know.